Welcome to the Stoned Heen View, a podcast series which interviews a range of sport club representatives and leading professional sport club personnel during the COVID-19 period. We find out what these people are doing during the current health crisis with some of our most popular sports seasons postponed. I'm Mark Heenan, and today I'm going to speak to a special guest. He's the head trainer of the Queenscliff Football Club, and he's also the director of a health and fitness business called Forever Fitness. His name's Cam Ward. He's joined us on the Stoned Heen View. We had some technical difficulties first time around, but he's back again, and I'm really so sorry about that, Cam. But you've joined us on the Stoned Heen View for episode 57, and it's a great delight to bring you on the program and to talk about some of the implications when it comes to football injuries and health, and it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, Mark. You gave me an opportunity to have a quick dinner before we jump back online again. Good to be here.
What did you have for dinner, Cam? Tell us what you had for dinner. Did you have
a spag bowl?
A spag bowl? I don't know if you just downed a chicken drumstick or something.
No. We made up a spag bowl the other night, so it was left over, and I quickly heated up, and I had a text message that came through and said, "We're going round two." Right?
Round two. Oh well, I've had a couple of round two sessions with you in the gym or in your little fitness space. So again, what can we say? These little technicalities that come up. But firstly, I want to get on to your role with the Queenscliff Football Club. You're the head trainer, and I suppose a lot of people didn't experience a pandemic until it happened. We had to change our lives. Talk to us about the actual situation and how it impacted on your players. So last year, you're getting ready for pre-season, bang, COVID hits, rules out the whole season. How important was your role as the head trainer to keep those players motivated during an inactive season?
After the initial meetings we had with the coaching staff and head coach of the club, I would say my role became quite important, because for me it was catching up with the players every Tuesday, Thursday night. The netballers did their separate catch-ups and did a great job also, but we tried to keep routine, and it was rolling in with the boys was Tuesday, Thursdays from 6 till 7. We all jumped on a Zoom account was created at the club, and we could branch off with multiple accounts, so that whilst we were training, the netballers were training as well. So for the period of the lockdown, as I said, we kept it routine, and not only did we do a training session between that 6 and 7 block, we also opened it up for the guys to catch up after. So we would leave the camera rolling, and all the boys could talk with each other and see how they're going, what they're doing, where's life at. Not only was it keeping them fit and strong as best we could with what we could do, but also that mental aspect of it's okay, we will get through this. There will be footballs coming, and we can work together, we can pull together and come out at the other end of the tunnel.
Did you feel that your players learnt more about what their bodies were capable of? And I suppose having a continuation of winter sport seasons, just every season. I mean, was it also really good for those players that particularly had, maybe injuries from the end of the 2019 season that went into 2020, and their body just had a full rest? And I don't know what your discussions were with players with organising sort of not just pre-season programs, but going into 2020, not to have that impact and giving their body a release from that impact.
Yeah, look, it gave the boys a chance to rest bodies, and those that we had a 2019 for the club was how do we put it? If we could have got hit with any injury in 2019, Queenscliff got hit with that injury. We had impacts, we had soft tissues, we had absolutely everything. So 2020, as tough as it was probably a blessing in disguise for us as well, because we were able to educate the boys on this is the traditional way of training, and this is what we do over the pre-season, and we work on this, and you go into the gym and you've all got your programs. But for me, being able to, prior to COVID, I'd had a couple of seasons already, so we had those players rolling over, and yes, we had new players coming on board, but it gave me an opportunity to work with those players, to work on the things that they didn't know that their bodies weren't able to do. But the minute we got it working, it was able to then move move us in a better, quicker direction for then when we're coming back to the season, we could hit the ground running.
So take us into, a pre-COVID budget and a post-COVID budget with medical expenses. And one thing that I wanted to ask you was that, you're the head trainer, but within the club, and this includes the netball club and any supporting volunteers that help out, with taping and helping players get ready for games, or whether it's not so much first aid, but it is attending to game day. I mean, is there a core number of, not staff, but is there a core number of trainers that you have? You might have 2 or 3 on some days, maybe when there's finals or there's different teams, under 19s might be playing elsewhere, or you're, as I said, involved in finals. Does the staff personnel change much? And I guess in 2019 to 2021, I mean, how frugal do you have to be with your budgets?
Look, it's definitely tightened up. We certainly saw a drop in the budget for the player pool, the salary cap, and what comes with that is tightening up things where we can. There was no social functions, there was no events or anything allowed last year, so clubs were quite tight. And for me, I like to run it. There's myself, and I have another, I call him my wingman trainer, and we look after the footy, and then we have the volunteers that help us out as well. We have the girls coming across, but then we've got trainers for the girls, first aider. There's a chiro within the club as well. So it definitely tightened things up. I'm not ordering like I did in 2019. I like to run a tight, make sure there's no waste and all of that. But there's always the budget. Yes, the budget is always in mind when I am placing orders on tape or medical supplies or fuel, hydration, whatever it may be. That budget, sits in the back of the mind. I'm yet to cop the football in the side of the head from the president coming down, racing down the stairs that I'm spending too much money. We're only 6 games in, but look, we're looking, the budget's looking pretty good at the moment.
As what surprised you is that you feel that players are a bit more educated, because even last year they weren't really talking about the performance side. I mean, like they go into 2020, not a season's been had. So did you get a lot of players contacting you personally, or was the club running a lot of Zoom calls about what they could do as alternative ways of fitness? I mean, particularly if you live in a coastal town like where you are, using the beach, using stair running, using steps, maybe at home, doing, if you have a home gym. So like, were you giving players different options of doing different types of fitness rather than being just running on bitumen or running on grass?
I took that as my project. Tuesday, Thursday nights, we'd do that hour session with the boys. And that was my goal. I had to sit down after talking to the coaches and really think about what can we do? We don't do players have dumbbells? Do they have sandbags? Do they have kettlebells? Do they have resistance bands? What do they have in their house? And you ask the question and you get the random coming back of like this, but then the next guy's only got this and this, and the next guy's got nothing. So for me, I had to get creative and take it on board with what I knew we needed to work on. And a lot of that was bodyweight training. So twice a week, we'd start off with a mobility session, and then we'd hit that HIIT session where we'd have a blowout in the middle and then a stretch at the end. And we'd repeat that on the Thursday night, and then the Thursday night open up to a social chat with all the boys. But on top of that too, within the guidelines of what COVID would allow us to do, was here's an additional session that you can do on your bike, here's an additional session you can do down at the beach or on the stairs or whatever it may be. But I had those 2 sessions where I could really educate the boys on movement and what I can see is going to really work for them, which we crossed our fingers that we come out the other side, that when we hit pre-season, if we were to get, the goal was that we work on that in that COVID period to then come out the other side once we start. If we were to get a soft tissue or whatever it may be, the theory behind it was that it's that return to play is going to be even quicker and easier return to play for them.
Do you ever talk to, not so much other clubs in the same league, but other club trainers or head trainers about some of the things and the intellect that you found since COVID coming back? Like, I think you mentioned, and you have said this to me, is that maybe the soft tissue injuries weren't as high as what you expected, but the force of nature with the body on body contact, the sorer bodies, whether it was a corky or some sort of those muscle based injuries. I mean, how important, and I don't know whether it's not a fallacy, but I don't know if it's a myth about this whole treatment into ice spas. I mean, you know yourself, one of the great things about Queenscliff is that you're back on to, I suppose, the bay, and you've got a beach nearby. And literally you have a water training ground. I mean, Port Arlington's similar in the sense that they can play finals there, and then all of a sudden players will go straight over to the water and do their cool downs. I mean, even as we lead up to the chilly months of winter, a player's just in that natural habitat of not just after training but after games, they're going straight into the water.
Yeah, look, they are. And if I touch on first the point that you made about the contact, what I did, even though our soft tissue, with the work that they did, I'm looking at the soft tissue injuries that we had in 19. We're not seeing those as prevalent, especially for those that were online and were able to join us in all the training. The bumping work, the contact, we weren't allowed, when we got back into the swing of training, there was so many restrictions. You couldn't touch a player. We had to break the oval up into thirds. There was non-contact, and then the ruling would change and you could start contact, a little bit of contact. One thing we have noticed is, that bumping is the players are getting a lot sorer through chest and shoulder and whatnot. But going to the second part of your question, was our routine for the boys is once they come in and the coach has had his post-match chat, the recovery starts, and one of that part of that recovery is the 30-second walk it does take for the boys to get down to the water. And they do go down, they all go down, and then we've got a post-recovery session that they do again on a Sunday. And then any of the grounds like Port Arlington that we can get down to, the boys head straight across to the water, or they may stop if it's a Mottawarri game and they're heading back to Queenscliff. They may stop in Geelong and head down to the foreshore and quickly have a dip down there. It's important. Anything you can do to speed up the recovery of the body is key. We want to get our players on the track fit and healthy as much as we can on a Tuesday night, and get that good session in on a Tuesday night, back it up on that Thursday, then to go on that game day on a Saturday.
What were some of the positives from a player recovery point of view when it came to COVID hitting us last year and stopping the season? I mean, do you feel as a whole that the playing group, not just at Queenscliff, but the whole fraternity, are more aware of not just the physical injuries, but at least last year they had time to spend on a program that wasn't necessarily forced contact on the playing field, because they weren't playing unless, the odd couple went interstate in search of football to play in interstate leagues. What were some of the positives that come out of COVID from a recovery point of view and obviously injury prevention point of view?
For me, it was, as I said earlier, the whole goal behind COVID for me was to educate the players on what their bodies weren't able to do, and for them to then work through what they couldn't do and then achieve a bigger goal at the other end. I know for myself, when you start hearing the players repeat what I constantly say to them about hinging or squatting or lunging, and they start taking the mickey out of you, and you'll hear in the warm-up they'll start saying hinge or turn or whatever it may be. For me, that's a sign that it's sunk in. I'm hearing a lot of that stuff now, especially through our warm-ups and in our recoveries. As I said, the boys now, not only do they go down to the water, but we're getting a post session on the Sunday. It'd be a walk or a ride or a light gym session. The things that they learned during COVID, the educations that we did on that Tuesday, Thursday night on mobility and how they can move their body, be that foam rolling, be that getting down to the water, or some sand running, an easy walk along the sand post game. I looked back at it at the end of last year, and as I said, I was happy with the way it executed. But then when you see it roll into practice now, it's 220 was as tough as it was a great year to really pick up on the things that we needed to do, but you don't get a chance to do them in those seasons when it's so hustle and bustle and busy.
So around a year ago, they actually made the call to call off the season, AFL Barwon, and not play. So did you think as a result of that is that everyone was eagerly anticipating, are they going to play? Are they not going to play? Are we going to have a shortened season? And then, the decision came, said no 2020 season because of the COVID pandemic, but also of the other implications as well. So did you find yourself, your role as the head trainer, was it a struggle post sort of May when they made that call going into June, July, August, September last year when there wasn't going to be a season held? Was it a struggle to sort of get the players to come on board and say, hey, I don't know if you had people on your Zoom chats or whatever, but did you find that slowly diminished as the year progressed?
Look, we did. The excitement of everyone catching up. We initially had collective everyone together. So the sessions were very professionally run, where we had an MC and then dropping different coaches in and everyone having a bit of a chat, and then opening it up to questions and answers and from the players. And the session started off really good, but like anything, they do drop. Then we had a few sessions where they'd pick up again. We were getting some good numbers at the sessions. The leadership group played a massive role within that as well. They were on the phone talking to their players that they had. The leadership group were assigned players, and they were on the phone to them talking, asking them how they were and motivating them to just jump online. It's only from 6 till 7. It's a quick session. This is what we did last week. This is what we're planning on doing the week after. I'd always make a point of it, of this is what we've achieved today. This is what we're looking over the next couple of sessions, just to give them that idea of taking that fear away of, oh, I don't know, I don't want to get on there. And if anything, it was easier for them. They had to go nowhere. All they had to do is just set up a camera in their room, in a space, and just click the link. That was it. So it did work well. We did see some numbers drop off. They fluctuated a little bit, but we had a good attendance all the way through. And those that came on the journey all the way through really benefited at the end.
Now, you've spent 10 years within local football club around that period. Strength and conditioning coach, now head trainer at Queenscliff. Obviously, up until 2016, you're at Ocean Grove. What have you learned as a whole during that 10-year period as someone is like, this is what I've taken out of what's a common denominator, particularly in that field, particularly on Saturdays? Players, are they coming back too soon, or do they take your advice? And, was there someone that got you into that environment through the trainer perspective? Had you met people prior to that thought, hey, this is a good little opportunity for you?
Look, for me, it was always learning. I'm always hungry to learn more, and I'm a very hands-on learner. I saw an opportunity with the clubs that educating the players to look after themselves better. And what does better looks like? We can read textbooks, and everyone's got their theories on and their policies, procedures, their protocols on how they train, educate, and how they've been educated. They want to pass that on. For me, it's always been I wanted to learn more and understand football, how they tick, the mental side of the boys, how you can go out and just get yourself bashed to pieces, and then the banter and the excitement and the highs and the lows, but then also educate the boys to understand what their bodies are doing, why their bodies are doing it. And I'm a firm believer of, if you understand to a degree of what's going on, the healing process, the recovery process, the strength process, the fitness process is going to mash itself so much quicker together and work better together. Education was always a big one for me, both for myself and for the players as well.
Yeah, and obviously you're the director of Forever Fitness, which was founded around health and fitness and obviously business in the region where you are on the Bellarine in 2011. But I suppose the big thing was, it hit a bit of a, I wouldn't say just a snag, but not so much the business, but yourself. You hit a bit of a crucial point in 2014 when you had post-knee surgery and you were told that you would never run again. I mean, take us into those conversations. But what it led to was that you ended up going to the US of A to get some more research done. And obviously, with sometimes when we have a disappointment or a hurdle that we have to overcome, it can be a blessing in disguise. So were you appreciative of the fact that that happened, and what came of it was a greater understanding of knowing you and knowing more about the human body?
Look, it's exactly right. I look at it now. At the time, I was actually only looking at my footage that I got my wife to film when I'd just come back from an appointment and I was told to walk normal. And my body didn't know what normal was. And I was trying to walk normal and I was limping away and it was painful. And flying to America was, I searched post, as you said, post surgery. I searched for answers. It took me 12 months and I was still not feeling right. I'd gone through I call it falling into the cravat. No one had thrown me a ladder or a rope to pull myself out. But yeah, I jumped on a plane and flew to America and learned a specific style of training called dynamic variable resistance training, which involves a sandbag and essentially functional training and connecting the body as a unit. That was my turning point, because then 12 months after that, I put all of that together and I actually went back to America again that same year. And 12 months on from their first trip that I did to the US, I was then able to then train for that marathon. And then 2 years later, I came back and 2016, 2 years post surgery, I was able to run my second marathon after that. But it was a turning point. I look back at it now and think, as hard as it was actually the learning curve, and it's been able to craft my business now, because I'm fortunate now to see all walks of life come through through my business, and people having trust in what I do from having that gone through that myself. It definitely led me down the path of more education, and I needed to learn more. I wasn't satisfied with where I was going and constantly learning more.
In your deepest and dark days, when you had that call from the surgeon said, "Hey, we don't think you're going to run again," did you ever give up hope knowing that you couldn't do a marathon during that time? Did you ever doubt yourself, or did it just make you more determined to say, "Hey, I don't like this predicament that I've been given here. I'm that motivated to get a marathon done"? Like, would you have done a marathon if that wasn't the case, or did it just give you that extra motivation to say, "Hey, I'm going to go out and do a marathon, and I know what my body's capable of, so let's go out and do it"?
Yeah, look, I'm a very much a believer of when someone says you can't do it, I'll work out how I can do it. It definitely spurred me on that. Yeah, I did know my body, but I didn't know my body very well. And hence I came back from America and I was brought up the front during the certification that I was doing. And I was being shown of things that my body, I didn't even know my body did. And it was then at the time, I didn't think I would be able to get back and do long distance running again. But when I came back from America, it gave me a lot of hope that I'm starting to understand my body a lot more. And then just bit by bit, chipped away. And before I knew it, I'm out training for the marathon again.
Does it surprise you how many facets and how many people in the sectors of the community come and see you, whether it's, the leisure centres, whether it's the players, whether it's the coaches, whether it's the fans and the supporters, whether it's people that not so much from a previous life, but all the different, even business leaders as well. You might be going to a business function and you might have to talk to people about, what you're doing sort of post-COVID and how to get around injury prevention. I mean, do you find that's been a bit of spark demand, and knowing that there are, different people in the community that want to get this intellect and knowledge about their body?
Look, that's I look at COVID and we looked at as tough as it was for everyone. I took the positive side out of it and came out of COVID the other side. Not only did I do lots of education whilst working and doing as much as we possibly can, but it's actually helped the business also, not from just an admin side, but I get all walks of life that come through the studio here, and I'm thankful every day when I get an email or a phone call. A lot of the business now that comes through is word of mouth. And they'll have been talking to Jane at the coffee shop, and she had a niggle in her knee, and I'll go see Cam. And I'm thankful that they do come through and they do want to hear what I've got. I do look at things a little different and a little bit, I say, left of center. And my assessments, the way I do with clients, to really nut down, you've got knee pain, or you've got shin splints, or you've got foot problems, or whatever it may be, but it's coming from somewhere else, and we've got to find that. And once we find it,
it's all about that source, isn't it, Cam?
It is.
Ward, it's all about the source of the problem. It's not necessarily where the injury's going. And myself, a little bit of laughter here is that you politely said that my body was a bit of a train wreck going back a couple of years ago. Doing probably too much running, maybe some subtle changes, not just with the lifestyle, but maybe the wrong choice of shoes. So there's different factors, and that's what led to having not so much just the shin splints, but you also got to find the source. So yes, absolutely. It was some fun times and a few coffees to be had. So the healing powers of Cam Ward definitely come to the forefront.
Well, politely, and as I've said to you in the past, we've known each other for quite a while. So politely, I did say your body was a train wreck, but respectfully, it was said, and we got there in the end. We only had a conversation not long ago that you're back out on park run, and I do still get the random text message that comes through, and I recognize the name and the number when it comes through, and it's we quickly check it.
I'm still waiting. I know you got footy commitments on Saturdays and patients to see, or people at your clinic, and you got a family to run as well. I'm still waiting for you to turn up at a park run soon. I still haven't. I am going
to come down and do a park run. The day that you go that sub 24 on that park run, then that's the week I'm coming down.
Is that the week that you're coming down? All right. Okay.
We'll rev you up after that.
What about if I do it interstate? That doesn't matter. No. I believe it or not, this weekend's looking dicey. So I don't know if I should. Yeah. I've actually got the 50th park run coming up this weekend, but I don't know if I'll actually do the 50th, because I might save it for a better weather day. I'm not sure about this weather this weekend. It's looking a bit dicey. So
well, you might have to give me a call up and let me know when it is, and I might have to come and celebrate that 50th run with you.
Well, they have those sort of I can't even say it properly, but they've got the signature, memorabilia tops for those sort of special, milestones in some ways. But it's not about that. I guess the thing is, it's creating fitness and health, particularly on Saturdays. And I think, that's the great time, is to wake up on a Saturday and know that you can make a difference, and you can help your fitness. You can meet people in the community, and people are willing you along. I mean, and that's the great thing about the health and fitness regime, whether you're working in it professionally or you see it in the community. There are a lot of people out there that want you to achieve your best. And I think that's one of the great things about not so much just your business, but what you do in football terms with injury prevention and the trainer side, is that all you're wanting to see is improvements in performance, but also knowing that person or that individual is getting the best out of themselves.
Yep. Yeah, look, completely agree. Look, I love what I do, and I enjoy my job, and I moved into this industry for a reason, and is to help people. And the biggest achievement for me is when clients walk out of my door and I know I've changed something in their body, be that mentally educated them, or that pain or niggle that they had, or they're on track for a sub 24-minute park run, or whatever it may be. It's quite exciting when and people, as I said earlier, when people walk through my door, I'm excited that people they're coming and they can see value in what we do. And as I said, then to have people walk away and they're that much better, we're having a win. It's a good day.
It is, Cam, and I must say I do owe you a few coffees after doing a retake of this, but you can get in touch with the Stoned Heen View. Obviously, we have a business edition as well. So if Forever Fitness or any other business out there wants to talk about what they've done during COVID and sell their pitch and put it onto the the social media platforms and getting their business out there, knowing that their business is open for 2021 and really giving the opportunity to say, hey, we're open for business, but we also want to talk about a new growth procedure within our business. So again, I wanted to thank you for your time on the Stoned Heen View, episode 57. You've been our first football club trainer, and someone that works in health and fitness is very important to this space. So good on you, Cam Ward, for coming on. And I always remember, Cam, that, when I've been down at a footy ground, that even though you are the other Cam Ward, that you love your headlines and you always give me some ideas how to write a headline. So, it's going to be this headline this week. Cooters sink the Grubbers or something like that. You love that little side bits of banter, don't you? Just love little cheekiness, don't you? Those trainers out there, they've always got some humour up their sleeve, haven't they, Cam? And again, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate. I just love revving you up.
Oh, you love that. You're always trying to get the best out of me. So again, you can get in touch with the Stoned Heen View like Cam Ward has done, who's the health and fitness expert from Forever Fitness and is also the head trainer at the Queenscliff Football Club. So you can get in touch with the Stoned Heen View. You can check us out on Facebook and on Instagram. Type in the Stoned Heen View. We're going to be on IGTV. Firstly, our podcast is available on Apple Podcasts. So subscribe, I should say. Write us a review. Just I can't even say it. Subscribe. Just subscribe out there. And it's been a long night, but we got there. We got there. And we're also on Spotify, and our launching platform is Podbean. And we've got a YouTube channel and also a Twitter account at Stoned Heen View. So until next time, it's been a great delight to speak to Cam Ward for episode 57. You can check us out on episode 58. We're going to have a media commentator next week to talk about the impacts on sports journalism and calling AFL games. It's been a great time to have you. We'll see you next time on the Stoned Heen View, and bye for now. See you soon.